welcome to A Year of Career, 52 Practical Answers to Your Questions. I'm Erin Wolfram. I own and operate Career Advantage and Career Advantage Golf, where I help individuals feel more confident and prepared throughout their job search by helping with resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, mock interviews, personal websites, and portfolios, really just anything job search related. But each week on this podcast, I answer one question from the public. And this week's question is, how can I stand out in an interview? So, with interviews, I think the number one tip that I have is to prepare. Preparation is key to performing well in an interview. So, first, what I recommend is doing research on the company and making sure that you know the position description extremely well. If you've been invited for an interview, this means that you have the qualifications that they're looking for, that you've already stood out to them in a positive way, and now you have the opportunity to talk to the hiring committee in person to really demonstrate why you are the best person for the position and why you are really interested in that position at that organization. So first, by doing your research on the company, you are demonstrating that you have invested time and effort into learning more about the organization so you can make a well-informed decision as well. So just as much as they are interviewing you, you are interviewing them. So, of course, you want to do a web search, an online search for the organization, see, what their website says, see if it has any information on new initiatives they have coming up, things that they are really proud of, recent successes, things like that. But also by doing an online search, you can see if they've been in the news lately. You can see what their competitors are up to. You can see who their competitors are. And all of that information can help you come up with, answers or potential answers to questions and content that you want to share with them that demonstrates that you've done your research and that you have tried to tailor your answers as much as possible to that specific position within that organization. The other thing that you can do or the other thing that you can use that research for is to develop strong questions to ask the hiring committee, most likely at the end of the interview. So probably one of the last questions that you'll always be asked is, what questions do you have for us? And I always recommend having at least 3 to 5 questions. And if you can utilize that research that you've done to develop those questions, again, it's going to show that you've been invested in that interviewing process and that you want to learn more about the organization and that you really are, like I said earlier, trying to evaluate them as much as they are trying to evaluate you. So for example, you could refer to something that you learned through your research in one of your questions. So if you know that they have a new, renovation project coming up or something like that, you could say, I saw in the local news that you are doing a recent or a renovation project coming up in 2022. Could you tell me more about that? That sounds like something really exciting that you have going on, and I'd love to learn more. So again, right there, you've shown that you have, looked them up, you've searched them, you've heard about them in the news, and you're just wanting to get more information on that particular aspect of their company. So definitely do your research. Of course, like I said, doing an online search is helpful. You can reach out to people on LinkedIn who currently work for the company or have worked for the company in the past to see if they might be interested in talking to you briefly, answering a few questions. That way you can get an inside perspective. You could also reach out to your network either through LinkedIn or just, through personal contacts and see if anybody knows anyone who currently works there or has worked there in the past who would be willing to work with you. Maybe you could go out to coffee with that person or go out to lunch and ask some questions to really learn more about the environment, the company culture, what that person likes and dislikes about working for that organization. Again, to help you evaluate the position and company, but also tailor the content that you want to share within that interview as you answer your questions. So doing your research on the company is so important. Knowing the job And knowing the position description as well as possible is also important so you can start generating potential stories to share in that interview. So, what you want to do is with every question that you're asked, you want to try to tell an organized story that demonstrates the results of your actions. That's what's really going to demonstrate the value that you will bring to an organization. So, if you don't prepare, your answers are more likely going to be pretty vague. They may not be very specific. But what you really want to try to do is have specific examples that demonstrate your actions from previous experiences that will predict likely what you would do in a similar situation in this new organization. So I recommend actually brainstorming those stories and typing them out or writing them down. So getting them out of your mind onto paper, onto a computer screen. And while no, you never know exactly what questions they're going to ask you, you can have some idea of the key strengths that they're going to be interested in or the key skills, key qualifications based off of the job description. So you can generate stories from your own experiences, based on those qualifications that they're seeking in the job description. So think of some of your best stories that demonstrate, again, your accomplishments, your achievements, the results of your actions, the impact that you have, um, you know, brought to an organization. Those are the types of stories that you want to share in an interview. And so if you write those down, you're going to be able to come up with an organized way to tell that story. And I recommend using the STAR method, which I've mentioned previously in this podcast. And STAR stands for situation, task, action, result. So for each story that you tell or each answer that you provide in an interview, you want to state the situation that you were in, the task you were assigned, the actions you took to accomplish that task, and what the results were. And hopefully the results were positive, but if they weren't, one, you might want to think about sharing a different story, or two, in situations where, for example, you might be asked about your weaknesses or areas of improvement, if you can explain, what you learned from that situation and what you are doing to help you have a more positive outcome in the future, then that is something else that you could write down if you're thinking you might use that story in some capacity. So, knowing your stories, having a beginning, middle, and end to those stories, and utilizing the STAR method is the most effective way, I think, to answer interview questions and to prepare to answer interview questions. So, other than preparing for, knowing more about the organization and knowing more about yourself and the stories and the information that you definitely want to share with the folks on the search committee, the other thing that you want to do is, make sure that you're prepared for that day in other capacities beyond just answering your questions. So what I mean by that is know what you want to wear. You do want to kick it up a notch for an interview. Depending upon your industry, a suit may be expected and required, so think about that. But that's not necessarily true for all industries. More creative industries, you can be a little bit more, innovative and show off your personality a bit more in your attire. Some fields are a little more casual, so you could go with slacks and a nice button-up or polo. So just know what you're going to wear. Make sure that outfit is clean, that it still fits, that it's comfortable, because you don't want to be having to deal with some sort of wardrobe nightmare during the interview, and that could just simply be an itchy shirt or a blazer that's a little bit too tight. Those things can really just distract you from the reason that you're there and distract you from delivering the best answers that you possibly can throughout that day. So know what you're going to wear. Prepare your items to take with you. So I would recommend taking at least 5 copies of your resume and references on nice resume paper. So actually print those out. It's a good idea to have a portfolio or something like that that you can actually put your resumes in so you don't have to carry a purse or a large bag or anything like that. You want to be, have, minimal items with you. Again, that's going to allow for the least amount of distraction. So about 5 copies of your resume and references. You want to have at least 3 to 5 references available during that interview to hand off to the search committee. I also recommend, taking a little bit of cash with you just in case you need to get, water from a vending machine, or if you're there all day and you don't have much time, you need to get a quick snack or something like that on a break, you'll have a little bit of cash or a card with you that you can use to purchase items. Also, I think it's a good idea to keep, tissues with you. You never know. Could be allergy season, or you could have some sort of, unexpected reaction where you sneeze or cough or something like that. And so it's a good idea to have, like some tissues or Kleenexes with you. Also, take some paper and a pen so that way you can take notes throughout. It's a good idea to write down the names of the people who are interviewing you so you can follow up with a thank you letter. It's also a good idea to take some notes as people answer the questions that you ask of them, so you can incorporate that into your thank you letter and really personalize it. You might also learn some additional information just through the content that is shared with you that is valuable and that could help you, evaluate if necessary if you are given an offer. So taking a pad and pen or pencil is a good idea to, just take notes throughout the process. The other thing that you can do is right after the interview, once you get back into your car, you can kind of reflect on that experience and write down some key things that you remember from the conversation that you want to definitely, either incorporate in your thank you letter or consider further, again, as you potentially evaluate an offer. The other thing that I would take is a little bit of water, a bottle of water or something like that, just because you don't know for sure that that's going to be provided to you, and you're going to be probably talking a lot, probably a little bit nervous. So I'm guessing, your mouth is going to get dry, you're going to get thirsty. So it's always good to be prepared by just taking a little bottle of water so you have something in case you need it. So more than anything, to stand out in an interview, I would say prepare. Prepare as much as you can, again, by learning about the organization through online searches, through talking to people, just finding out as much as you can, and then taking that information to help you utilize the job description as well to develop solid stories and content that you want to share with the interview team, to make sure that you are telling them about your key strengths, skills, and qualifications that best align with the position and the organization. And then finally, have your outfit ready, make sure that it's comfortable, it's something that you can wear for that amount of time without any distractions, and take a few items with you like your resume, a pen and paper, Kleenex, water, etc. So you have the things that you probably are going to need throughout the day. So those are my main tips for acing your next interview. If you have any other questions or want to actually do a mock interview, I do conduct those at Career Advantage. You can always check me out at careeradvantageresumes.com or careeradvantagegolf.com. I'm also active on social media. My handle is at Career Advantage Resumes on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can also find me on Twitter at Advantage Career. Thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to see you next week. Thank you.